Donald John Trump was born on June 14, 1946, in the Queens borough of New York City. He was the fourth of 5 children. His father, Fred Trump, was a successful entrepreneur in the construction business. From the very moment Donald was born, his life was surrounded by wealth, competition, and ambition. Fred Trump had built hundreds of apartment buildings in the Brooklyn and Queens areas. He was not only planning to pass on his wealth to his son, but also to teach him how to survive as a fighter in the world of business. From a young age, Donald developed a bold, rebellious, and competitive personality. From a troubled childhood to discipline, Trump was known as a mischievous child in his early years. Due to his hyperactive behavior and frequent disobedience of school rules, his parents decided to send him to the New York Military Academy at age 13. It was a place with strict discipline. There, Trump encountered a new kind of order and began to develop his leadership abilities. This period marked a major turning point in his character. The military-style education reinforced his naturally competitive spirit. At the academy, he excelled both academically and in sports. He became the captain of the football team and took on student leadership roles. His confidence grew exponentially. Stepping into the real estate world after high school, Trump attended Fordham University for 2 years before transferring to the prestigious Wharton School of Finance at the University of Pennsylvania. There, he studied finance and economics. During his college years, he began actively working in his father's company, Elizabeth Trump and Son. While his father had a cautious and solid business approach, Donald dreamed of turning his name into a global brand. In 1971, he took over the company and renamed it the Trump Organization. His ambitions were no longer limited to Brooklyn or Queens. He had set his sights on Manhattan. Skyscrapers, massive projects, and flashy deals reflected his bold vision. His first major play in Manhattan, the Commodore Hotel. Trump's first big move in Manhattan came with the purchase of the old, run-down Commodore Hotel next to Grand Central Terminal. At a time when no one wanted to invest due to economic uncertainty, Trump stepped in. He formed a partnership with Hyatt Hotels. The project was both a huge financial risk and a personal identity test for Trump. But it succeeded. When the hotel reopened as the Grand Hyatt in 1978, Donald Trump began to gain recognition in New York's business circles. He had now stepped out of his father's shadow. The name Donald Trump was becoming a brand of its own. Trump Tower and the Doors of Fame. Following the success of the Grand Hyatt, Trump launched his dream project, Trump Tower. Located on Fifth Avenue, this tower would not just be a building. It would be a spectacle, a symbol of power. When it opened in 1983, the tower featured luxury apartments, offices, gold-plated elevators, and a shopping center. The success of Trump Tower catapulted Donald Trump into the spotlight. He became one of the most recognizable figures in New York. This was also the beginning of his relationship with the media. He loved cameras, frequently appeared on television shows, and gave interviews to major newspapers. "There's no such thing as bad publicity" became one of his guiding principles. By the late 1980s, Donald Trump had become more than just a real estate developer. He was a celebrity. His name was everywhere: magazines, newspapers, television shows. He published his first book, The Art of the Deal, in 1987, which became a bestseller and further cemented his image as a bold and brilliant businessman. At the height of his fame, Trump owned casinos in Atlantic City, multiple high-rise properties, an airline, Trump Shuttle, and even considered buying an NFL team. His name had become a symbol of luxury, risk-taking, and American capitalism. But beneath the surface, things were beginning to unravel. The debt crisis hits. By the early 1990s, Trump's empire was drowning in debt. The real estate market had collapsed, and Trump was left with billions of dollars in liabilities. His Atlantic City casinos, including the Trump Taj Mahal, Trump Plaza, and Trump Castle, were bleeding money. His airline venture was a failure, and his creditors were circling. In 1991, Trump faced the very real possibility of bankruptcy. He had personally guaranteed over $800 million of his business loans, an almost unheard of risk. Media outlets speculated daily about his downfall, and many believed the Trump brand neg, but Trump was not one to go down quietly. With the same audacity that brought him success, he began negotiating with banks. Rather than declaring personal bankruptcy, he managed to restructure his debts. Banks agreed to give him more time, not because they trusted him completely, but because Trump's properties. In the following years, some of his businesses did file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, particularly his casinos. But Trump personally avoided total financial ruin. He cut costs, sold off assets, and slowly began rebuilding, reinventing the brand. By the mid-1990s, Trump had shifted his focus from high-risk development to licensing. Instead of owning everything, he began allowing others to use the Trump name on hotels, golf courses, and various products for a fee. This was a turning point. It allowed him to earn millions without the burden of debt or ownership. He also returned to the public spotlight, appearing on talk shows, gossip columns, and tabloids. His romantic relationships, particularly his high-profile divorces from Ivana Trump and later Marla Maples, kept him in the media. Whether praised or mocked, Trump remained relevant. In 1996, Trump purchased the Miss Universe organization, which included Miss USA and Miss Teen USA pageants. This move not only gave him more public exposure, but also reinforced his image as a powerful, glamorous figure. The Trump Tower Renaissance back in Manhattan, Trump Tower remained his crown jewel. He used it as a symbol of his survival, the place that proved he could weather any storm. Tourists visited it as a landmark, and Trump continued to conduct business from the gilded offices inside. By the end of the 1990s, the headlines had changed. No longer was he simply the man who almost lost it all. He was now the man who made a comeback. Through branding, licensing, and relentless media presence, Donald Trump had revived not just his fortune, but his persona. By the late 1990s, Donald Trump had transformed from a real estate tycoon into a full-blown media personality. He had survived financial ruin, reinvented his brand, and now set his sights on something even bigger: celebrity dominance. While many billionaires preferred to stay in the background, Trump stepped into the spotlight and never left. From businessman to pop culture icon, Trump's flashy lifestyle, bold statements, and gold-covered buildings made him larger than life. He was no longer just a businessman. He had become an entertainer, someone who understood the power of the camera. His name was on everything: Trump Steaks, Trump Vodka, Trump University, Trump Golf, and even a board game called Trump the Game. He made regular appearances on news shows, talk shows, and red carpets. His controversial opinions often sparked debates, but that was part of his strategy, to be constantly talked about. He knew visibility was power. The Apprentice, you're fired. In 2004, Donald Trump debuted as the host and executive producer of The Apprentice, a reality television show on NBC. The format was simple. Contestants competed in business challenges, and each week Trump eliminated one with his now famous catchphrase, "You're fired." The show was an instant hit. Millions tuned in weekly to watch Trump judge, advise, and dismiss aspiring entrepreneurs. The boardroom scenes became iconic. Trump's role in the show wasn't just entertainment. It was a rebranding mission. He reintroduced himself to America as a brilliant, tough, no-nonsense businessman who could spot winners and losers. The success of The Apprentice revitalized his image. His approval ratings rose, his name became even more valuable in licensing deals. The show spun off into Celebrity Apprentice, where stars like Gene Simmons, Piers Morgan, and Joan Rivers competed under Trump's scrutiny. Building a media empire, Trump leveraged the show's popularity into new business deals. His golf courses expanded across the globe. New hotels opened in Chicago, Las Vegas, and international cities. But perhaps more importantly, The Apprentice turned Trump into a household name for a new generation who had never followed his real estate ventures. He also became more active on social media. While Twitter wasn't his primary platform yet, Trump recognized early how the internet could help him speak directly to the public, unfiltered by traditional media. Behind the scenes, Trump was carefully cultivating a public persona, part businessman, part celebrity, part provocateur. He gave explosive interviews, feuded with celebrities, and remained headline news. Political teasers and controversial statements. Even during his reality TV success, Trump occasionally flirted with politics. As early as 1999, he explored a presidential run with the Reform Party. He later made bold statements about President Obama, including the infamous birther controversy, where he questioned Obama's birthplace. These moments kept Trump in the political conversation. While many dismissed him as a sideshow, he was gathering a base, people who admired his confidence, his outsider attitude, and his say-what-you-think style. By 2011, after years of teasing presidential ambitions, Trump's political persona was taking shape. The businessman-turned-TV star was now positioning himself as a potential political force, setting the stage for a new role. By the mid-2000s and 10s, Trump had completed a full transformation, from heir to a real estate empire, to scandal-ridden mogul, to comeback king and TV star, to polarizing political voice. In 2015, Trump made the announcement that would change the course of American history. But that's a story for the next chapter. In the summer of 2015, the world watched with a mix of curiosity, amusement, and disbelief as Donald J. Trump descended the golden escalator at Trump Tower and officially announced his candidacy for President of the United States. Standing before a backdrop of American flags, he declared, "I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again." The phrase, "Make America Great Again," would soon become the most recognizable political slogan of the decade. The announcement that shook politics, Trump's entry into the 2016 presidential race, was met with skepticism. Many thought it was a publicity stunt. Political pundits, journalists, and even members of his own party dismissed him. But Trump was serious, and he had a strategy. In his announcement speech, he made bold, controversial statements, particularly about immigration, China, and trade. He promised to build a wall along the southern border and to renegotiate America's international agreements. His tone was aggressive, his style was unfiltered, and his message was clear. Washington is broken, and I'm the one to fix it. The Republican primary, defying expectations. The Republican field was crowded, 17 candidates in total. Seasoned politicians like Jeb Bush, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, and John Kasich were all considered stronger contenders. But Trump quickly rose in the polls. He dominated debates, used his media savvy to command attention, and attacked his opponents with nicknames that stuck: Low Energy Jeb, Lion Ted, Little Marco. His critics called him offensive and unpresidential. But to millions of Americans, he was authentic, bold, and different. He promised jobs, strong borders, and an America First policy. He also took aim at political correctness, which resonated with. By May 2016, Donald Trump had secured enough delegates to become the Republican nominee. The political establishment was stunned. The battle against Hillary Clinton. Trump's opponent in the general election was Hillary Clinton, the Democratic nominee, former Secretary of State, and First Lady. She represented experience, stability, and the continuation of Barack Obama's legacy. Trump, by contrast, promised disruption and dramatic change. The 2016 campaign was unlike any in modern U.S. history. It was filled with Twitter wars, rallies with tens of thousands of people, leaks, scandals, and FBI investigations, harsh media criticism. While Clinton led in most national polls, Trump focused on key battleground states: Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Florida, and Ohio, using a strategy that defied conventional wisdom. Controversies and comebacks. Trump's campaign faced intense scrutiny. Past comments about women, minorities, and immigrants sparked outrage. The release of the Access Hollywood tape in October 2016 nearly derailed his candidacy. Accusations of Russian interference in the election created international concern. But Trump remained defiant. In every rally, he energized his base. He painted Clinton as corrupt and out of touch. He promised to drain the swamp in Washington and bring back American jobs. November 8, 2016. The shock victory. On election night, the impossible happened. Against all odds, Donald Trump won the presidency. He flipped traditionally blue states and secured 304 electoral votes to Hillary Clinton's 227, even though she won the popular vote by nearly 3 million. Trump's victory stunned the world. Crowds celebrated in shock and disbelief. Protests erupted across major cities. Analysts struggled to explain it. But one thing was clear: American politics would never be the same again. Donald J. Trump, the real estate mogul, reality TV star, and political outsider, had become the 45th President of the United States. President Trump, a new era begins, 2017 to 2021. Donald J. Trump was sworn in as the 45th President of the United States on January 20th, 2017. His inauguration speech declared a new vision for America. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. His presidency was bold, controversial, and constantly in the spotlight. Trump pushed for strict immigration laws, withdrew the U.S. from international agreements like the Paris Climate Accord and the Iran nuclear deal, and implemented massive tax cuts. He also appointed 3 Supreme Court justices, shifting the court's balance to the right. Trump governed via Twitter, bypassing traditional media. He praised loyalty, fought constantly with critics, and reshaped the Republican Party in his own image. But his presidency also faced chaos. The Mueller investigation into Russian interference, a first impeachment in 2019 for abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. He was acquitted. Ongoing racial protests and clashes during 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic, which dominated his final year in office, creating deep political division and economic instability. The 2020 election and the aftermath. In the 2020 election, Trump ran against former Vice President Joe Biden, despite holding massive rallies and energizing his base. Trump lost the popular vote and Electoral College. He refused to accept the results, claiming widespread voter fraud without providing solid evidence. His legal challenges failed. Tensions boiled over on January 6, 2021, when Trump's supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol trying to stop the certification of Biden's win. The world watched in disbelief. Trump was impeached for a second time, the first U.S. president to face this twice, for incitement of insurrection. He was again acquitted by the Senate. Post-presidency and legacy, 2021 to 2024. After leaving office, Trump remained a powerful political force. He continued to hold rallies, influence the Republican Party, and tease another presidential run. His critics labeled him a threat to democracy. His supporters saw him as a warrior against a corrupt system. In 2024, he officially announced his candidacy again, hoping to return to the White House. Whether loved or hated, Donald Trump redefined American politics. With a legacy marked by nationalism, division, loyalty, and defiance, he didn't just play the game. He rewrote the rules.